Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S6, 1619, Arthur Makes the Team. At dinner, Arthur sat quietly at the table. He barely touched his hamburger. He wasn't very hungry. The same couldn't be said for DW. Her hamburger was half gone and she was munching away on corn on the cob. I see you favor the rolling approach, said her father. DW looked confused. What's that? It's when you roll your cone around before moving it down a little and rolling it some more. DW stopped to look at her cone. It's the best way, she said. Don't be so sure, said her mother. Some people favor the typewriter approach, eating all the way across in a row, turning the cup a little, and then starting a new row. DW shrugged. My way is better, she said. For you, sweetie, said the mother. What do you think, Arthur? Asked Mr. Reed. Huh? Arthur hadn't been listening. Which way do you like to eat cone? His father asked. Arthur sighed. Whichever way you make the fewest mistake. Mr. Reed looked confused. I'm not sure you can make a mistake eating cone. True, you could miss a canal here or there, but I'm not sure that really counts. Arthur is not talking about cone. He's talking about baseball. How are your practices going? Asked his mother. Not too well, said Arthur. I know what to do in my head, but my body doesn't always go along. That is perfectly natural, said Mr. Reed. Be patient, Arthur. You're paying attention, and that's what's important. Baseball is 99% concentration. Sometimes it feels like everyone is concentrating on what a bad job I'm doing. Not Coach Fransky, though. He's always encouraging. He says I'm making good progress. Which parts do you feel comfortable with? Asked his mother. Arthur stopped to think. I can throw okay, and when the ball is hit to me, I can get to the right place. But you can catch the ball, said DW. DW, you will catch more than a ball if you say another word. DW went back to her cone. She's right, he said. It's what everyone else says. Nonsense. I'm sure you're making a positive contribution. There are probably people talking about it even now. You really think so? Mr. Reed nodded. Absolutely. So you better eat up. Ball players need the strength. Arthur nodded. With their first game coming up, he wanted to be ready. He picked up his cone in both hands. With a look at DW, he began eating it across in rows. It's painful, chapter 7. Francine was just saying. She was just sitting in her living room with Muffy. What is painful? Muffy asked. No, don't tell me. It has something to do with baseball. Francine was surprised. How did you know? She asked. Because that's all you talk about lately. Double plays, making the cutoff, guarding the plate. Well, it's important, said Francine. Muffy yawned. Not to me. I could understand it better if you thought your team was any good. Francine punched her pillow. Don't remind me. Buster can't throw. The brain takes too long for everything. And as for Arthur, she shook her head. Couldn't you promote him or something, said Muffy. Make him president or general manager? Anything to get him off the field. My daddy is always talking about people getting kicked upstairs in business. Francine hadn't thought of that. It might work. We could give Arthur lots of interesting jobs. He'd be really busy. Give him a fancy title and some fringe benefits at Muffy, like free parking and paid vacations. My daddy says those are important. Francine was nodding. Yes, yes, she said. Arthur would probably like that. Like all that. Arthur would probably like what? Asked her father, coming in from the kitchen. We're just discussing the team, Daddy. The coach smiled. We're pulling together nicely. He said, still a few kings, of course, but that's only normal. Francine smiled at him. Speaking of king, Daddy, Muffy suggested a way to get Arthur off the field, promote him to assistant coach. Oh, really? Said Mr. Fransky. Francine folded her fingers together. What do you say, Daddy? Please, I can't even throw straight because I'm worrying what dumb thing Arthur is going to do next. That sounds serious, said her father. You're worried about Arthur, aren't you? Why, yes, can't you see that? Her father stroked his chin. It is natural for you to be concerned. After all, he is one of your best friends. Then you'll do it? Her father thought for a moment. As coach, I have to look beyond any one player's needs. I have to consider the whole team, of course. I think the whole team would benefit. You have to stand way back to get the big picture, said her father. I may not have been seeing everything myself. Thank you, Francine. So you'll promote him? No, no, I've got a better idea. Oh, Francine didn't want a better idea. She liked her idea just the way it was. Her father rubbed his chin. Yes, definitely a better idea. I'm not going to promote Arthur. I'm going to promote you instead. What? You mean you want to get me off the field? Not exactly, said her father, grinning broadly. I had a different promotion in mind. Francine looked at him suspiciously. Whenever her father used that tone, something odd was bound to happen. Chapter 8. Arthur stood in his garage, throwing a tennis ball against the wall. Bounce, bounce, catch, bounce, bounce, catch. Too bad they don't use these in the games, he thought. Hi, Arthur. Francine stood in the driveway. Arthur ignored her. Bounce, bounce, catch. Come on, Arthur. You can't ignore me forever. Arthur stopped bouncing the ball. What brings you here, Francine? No, don't tell me. I'll bet you have thought up some new insults since yesterday. Francine's face reddened. Actually, I came over with some news. My father has made me the new assistant coach. Congratulations. Would that be assistant coach in charge of criticism? No, no, look, Arthur, maybe I have gotten a little carried away lately. I'm sorry, but now my dad says I have to make sure the team works together. She took out a baseball, and my first project is me, Arthur crossed his arm. What if I don't want to be a project? Would you rather be teased and feel embarrassed all the time? Arthur sighed. He picked up his glove and they went into the backyard. Ready? Said Francine. She threw the ball high overhead. Arthur circled underneath it. I've got it. I've got it. The ball landed 5 feet away. Francine smothered a giggle. Let's try again, she said. She picked up the ball, threw it up into the air. Arthur raised his glove. That's it, said Francie. Get under it. Arthur followed the ball's path until the sun blinded him. He raised his arm to block the sun and the ball hit him on the head. Ouch, well, at least you were under it. Look, she came over to show him. Use your glove to keep the sun out of your eyes. That also puts the glove in a better place to catch the ball. Don't think about doing everything at once. Break it into steps. Oh, I see. One more time, she threw the ball up again. This time Arthur used his glove to block the sun. He circled and caught the ball. Arthur smiled. Francine smiled too. They practiced a few more times. I think you're getting the hang of it. Getting the hang of this, Arthur. He thought so too. Thanks, Francine. You know, you might take a little advice yourself, me, about what? About pitching your fastball. He crouched down into a catching stance. Come on, fire it in here. Francine threw the ball. While Francine went to get the ball, Arthur stopped to think. All right, said Francine, returning to her position. Let's try again. Wait a minute. You know, Francine, maybe you should think about your pitching the same way you told me to think about my catching. What do you mean? Breaking it into steps. Look, when you throw, you need to push off with your legs first and use your shoulder. And even after you release the ball, you still have to follow through. How do you know so much about it? Arthur looked a little embarrassed. Well, actually, it was DW. I heard her explaining the whole thing to my mother. You're telling me to take advice from DW? Arthur shrugged. Nobody has to know, especially DW. What have you got to lose? All right, said Francine. She got ready. Let's legs, shoulder. She fired the ball in at Arthur. Ouch, he shouted. He pulled his hand out of his glove and shook it. That was a real fastball. Francine looked pleased. It was, wasn't it? She said. Thanks for the tip. You're welcome, said Arthur. Francine paused. I really am sorry. I teased you so much before. Arthur nodded. Well, You do overdo it sometimes. If I ever overdo it again, let me know. Deal? Deal. Was kind of your fault though. My fault? How do you figure that? Well, if you hadn't kept dropping ball, I wouldn't have teased you. Oh yeah? Well, at least when I throw a ball, it lands in the same neighborhood. As Francine started to answer, she suddenly froze and laughed. Arthur laughed too. Here we go again. He said, Chapter 9. Coach Fransky paced back and forth in front of his bench. Okay, Tim, this is the first game. The Penguins are pretty good, I hear. He took a deep breath, but I want you to play just the way you have in practice. Just go out and have fun. The coach clapped his hands. Okay, Tim, let's go. The Eagles took the field. In the first inning, a ball was hit sharply on the ground to Arthur. He fielded it cleanly and threw to second base. All right, Arthur, said Buster. His parents cheered from the bleacher. That's my brother. The W told everyone, I taught him everything he knows. Next 4 innings passed quickly. Each team scored 2 runs. In the bottom of the 5th, Arthur came up to bat for the second time. He had walked before. Now he rapped a single to center. Way to go, Arthur, yelled Francine from the bench. Buster was next. He fouled off 2 pitches but swung all the way around on the third. Strike 3, shouted the umpire. Mrs. Baxter stood up in the stand and clapped. Way to swing, Buster. The Brain pitched the last 2 innings. The 6th was scoreless, but in the top of the 7th, the Penguins scored a run to take the lead. Then with 1 out, the 5th batter singled to first and reached third on an overthrow. The next batter came up. The Brain licked his finger, testing the wind direction that he threw to the plate. Thwack! It was a deep fly ball. It is yours, Arthur, called from second base. I can't watch, said Buster in left field. Arthur back paddled over the grass. He blinked a few times, but he never took his eye off the ball. Remember what Francine said? He told himself. He shielded his eyes with his glove. Arthur reached the fence. The ball was coming down fast. Plop! Arthur had caught it. Relay! Shouted Francine. Arthur threw the ball. Francine caught it and spun around. The runner had tagged up at third and was heading for home plate. Binky was waiting. Throw it, he called out. Francine wasn't pitching, but she knew she had to throw a perfect fastball. She planted her feet firmly and fired to him. The runner was sliding in. Binky swept him with the tug. Out! Called the umpire. Arthur's team trotted in from the field. They were down 1 run, but they still had the last turn at bat. The game wasn't over yet. Everyone on the bench was watching the field. Sue Ellen was up first. First pitch was a ball. Wait for yours, shouted Francine. Sue Ellen nodded. She stepped back into the batter's box. In came the pitch. Sue Ellen swung hard and lined the ball into left field. Coach Fransky whistled. All right, the tying run is on first. Fun was the next batter. She hit the blooper to right field. Advancing Sue Ellen to second. Keep it going, said the coach. Now Binky came to the plate. He tapped the dirt from his cleats and cocked his bat. In came the pitch. The Binky swung hard, but a little early. The ball went deep to the right field, but it was caught just before the fan. He was out, but Sue Ellen tacked up at second and went to third. Buster was up next. Just make good contact, said the coach. A single ties it. Keep us alive, Buster nodded. He watched the first 2 pitches pass. 1 ball and 1 strike. Third pitch came in. Buster jumped on it. The ball popped up a mile high. Everyone looked up. The pitcher called for the catch. Arthur held his breath. Maybe the pitcher would trip on the grass, or be blinded by the sun, or get a sudden itch in his back and scratch it with his glove. Thump! The ball was caught. The game was over. The Penguins had won. Buster trudged back to the dugout as the other team ran off the field, cheering in victory. Good effort, Buster, said the coach. I thought that one was heading for the fence. Me too, said Arthur. Good try. Francine stormed over to Buster. Boy, Buster, all we need was 1 little hit, and you could. Arthur coughed. Francine looked at him, and you couldn't have made a better try. Good job. She patted Buster on the shoulder. The families gathered around for a few minutes before everyone headed home. Arthur, Francine, and Buster were the last to leave. They replayed the whole game in their mind. Really did pretty well. And the season is just starting, that's right. The next game will be better. Buster shrugged. I hope so. You know, Buster said, Francine gave me some baseball tips the other day. Maybe she could do the same for you. I don't know. Just think about all the power you put into your Buster ball, said Francine. Buster brightened. We just need to find a way to get that power into your bat. We'll have to get together. And what about now? Now? Francine looked around. The field was empty. Buster grabbed the bat and went to home plate. Come on, come on. What are you waiting for? Arthur. Yes, thanks for stopping me before I tease Buster the way I tease you. You're welcome, and thanks for helping me with my game. See, teamwork is the answer, Francis nodded. Yeah, but you know, soccer season is coming up. If you stink at that, I get to tease you all over again. With that, she went to the pitcher's mound, leaving Arthur to go behind the plate. All right, Buster, pay attention. First thing we do. Arthur smiled. He wouldn't say that Francine would never learn, but it definitely was going to take some time. The end.